Welcome to this explainer. Listen, this one is designed specifically for you, the corporate leader. If you have ever felt like navigating team dynamics and strategic planning is just impossibly complex, trust me, you're definitely not alone. We tend to think that good management requires, a 47-step morning routine or some revolutionary, trademarked leadership system. But today, we're going to completely cut through that illusion of management complexity with some hard-hitting, science-backed simplicity.
Okay, let's dive right into this because I really want to challenge a fundamental belief you probably hold about your own leadership. When you're sitting there in the boardroom making those high-stakes choices about budgets or hiring or long-term strategy, are those decisions truly logical? Or are you just exceptionally good at emotionally rationalizing what your gut has already decided?
Here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll be looking at the decision-making illusion, mastering the 80-20 rule, designing productive habit loops, and finally leveraging the compound effect.
Section 1. The decision-making illusion. Data versus gut.
All right, here is a wild reality check for you. 90% of your decisions are emotional. Only 10% are logical. When you think you're driving the car with pure logic, your rational brain is literally just sitting in the passenger seat, narrating the trip. Why? Because your emotional brain processes millions of microsignals 500,000 times faster than your conscious mind. By the time you think about a strategic pivot or a new hire, your emotions have already decided. You aren't deciding, you're rationalizing.
And because your gut is the one actually driving, it takes shortcuts. Your brain is running dozens of cognitive biases right now. Take confirmation bias. That's what makes you cherry-pick performance data to support your favorite employee. Or the halo effect, which might make you assume a super charismatic candidate is a naturally competent genius, when really, maybe they just have a great Zoom background. And loss aversion? That makes you terrified of losing a tiny client, even when it frees you up for a massive gain. You literally cannot turn these hardwired survival filters off. But as a leader, recognizing these biases on the fly, that is your absolute superpower.
Now, realizing that your gut decides before your brain isn't bad news at all. It's actually fantastic news. As this beautifully captures, your emotions are data, not directives. We just need to change how we process that emotional information, particularly when you're managing heated team meetings or intense strategy sessions, where emotions are running high and reactions happen fast.
And this brilliantly illustrates the only true way to handle that 90-10 rule. It's a simple framework for your next team meeting. Step 1. Feel the emotion. When an employee actively challenges your project timeline, gather that sudden spike of frustration rapidly, that's your data. Step 2. Take the pause. That gap between feeling and action, that is where your actual executive power lives. It gives your rational 10% a fighting chance to review the emotional 90%. Then, and only then, Step 3. Act calmly and decisively. During that critical pause, remind yourself of the ultimate control paradox. You can only control two things, your actions and your reactions. You can't control the market. You can't control your competitors. Honestly, you can't even entirely control your employees' daily moods. So stop trying to be the CEO of the universe. Focus entirely on your circle of influence and aggressively ignore the things outside of it.
Moving on to Section 2, Mastering the 80-20 rule. Impact versus noise.
Take a mental look at your calendar right now. It's a painful reality that 20% of what you do creates 80% of your actual results. The other 80%? It's just expensive noise. 20% of your clients generate 80% of the profit. 20% of your management habits create 80% of your team's success.
I really want to challenge you directly on this. What is your vital 20%? What actually moves the needle and energizes you? Now, contrast that with the endless daily busy work, the recurring status meetings that could have easily been emails, the micromanagement. The brutal truth here is that you could cut 80% of your current daily efforts and your company's bottom line would barely even notice.
Let this thought sink in for a second. Stop optimizing the 80% that doesn't matter. The hardest part of management isn't doing more work. It's having the courage to identify your vital 20%, double down on it, and ruthlessly ignore the rest. Stop majoring in minor things. Section 3. Designing productive habit loops. Autopilot to ally. 40%. That is a heavy statistic. 40% of the average person's day is run completely on autopilot. If almost half of your day, and your team's day for that matter, is happening without conscious thought, well, those automated routines better be optimized for success. So here is the biological reality of how those autopilot programs run. Every single habit, good or bad, follows this exact loop. Cue, routine, reward. Your phone buzzes, that's the cue. You check your email during a deep work session, that's the routine. You feel a momentary distraction, that's the reward. Your brain is essentially a machine running neural pathways. It does not care if the habit helps your career or ruins your focus. It just blindly runs the program.
So the crucial point is this. You literally cannot delete bad habits. Those neural pathways are permanent highways in your brain, but you can consciously design new ones by swapping the routine. If the cue is project stress, the old routine might be endlessly scrolling through industry news, leading to temporary comfort. The productive loop takes the exact same stress cue, but swaps the routine to drafting an action plan or tackling a high-priority 20% task. That leads to that same temporary comfort, but obviously with a vastly better professional outcome.
This right here is the ultimate management hack for productivity. Keep the cue, keep the reward, upgrade the routine. By consciously designing these loops for yourself and your team, you take that 40% of the day spent on autopilot and you turn it into your greatest ally.
And finally, Section 4, the compound effect, incremental progress. Now what's really interesting about this slide is the math, 3,778%. This is the math that completely flips your perspective on leadership. A mere 1% daily improvement mathematically compounds to a 3,778% improvement in a single year. That means you or your team become 37 times better by just pushing for tiny 1% wins each day.
But I have to warn you, the compound effect isn't just a positive force. While 1% better daily makes you 37 times better, 1% worse daily works in reverse, driving you all the way down to just 3% of your starting point. Skipping one one-on-one check-in with your team, that means nothing. Skipping 100, that speaks loudly. The math is always working, either for you or against you.
Tiny choices create massive destinies. Think about it. Shortening a daily stand-up by just 5 minutes reclaims hours of deep work for your entire team over a year. Improving a single client onboarding step daily creates an unbeatable competitive advantage. Delegating one low-impact task a week completely transforms your bandwidth. We consistently overestimate what we can do in a single day, and we wildly underestimate what we can do in a year.
Which brings us to the ultimate synthesis of this entire playbook. Focus on systems, not goals. True professional power does not come from fleeting motivation, raw willpower, or chasing arbitrary quarterly metrics. It comes from building reliable, 1% better daily systems. Let the compound effect handle the heavy lifting.
I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought. You now have the playbook. You know that emotions drive decisions, the vital 20% creates the real impact, and small actions compound into massive reality. So the only question left is, will you let emotional autopilot run your team, or will you take the pause, upgrade your routines, and build your professional destiny choice by choice, habit by habit? The science is simple. The execution is up to you. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Start applying these truths today, and I'll catch you next time.